So the next step would be to go back to QuickBooks and sign in. So when you sign back into QuickBooks, this is the first thing that you're gonna see. It's gonna ask you to, it's gonna welcome you, et cetera, et cetera. So we press next. So let's go ahead and press next. And the first question you're gonna have is, what is your business? So remember that you already named your business a business. It's gotta have your first name and last name as well. So we start with your first name, last name. I think it's last name and first name, right? So last name, Vargas, first name, Elias, right? And then the name of your business. All right, Valley Tacos 209. I'm already hungry. All right, now you're not moving this data from QuickBooks Desktop, so we can press next. Again, the important here thing is last name, first name, and the name of your business. What is your industry? Now you know, each one of you has a different industry for your business. In this case, you have mobile food services. That's great. That's a taco truck. Yep. You may be in consulting. You may be in retail. So like, what kind of business are we? We're going to choose sole proprietor. We're sole proprietors. And click next. On the next question, so this is question number 2. How does your business make money? We both provide services and products, if you recall, right?
So in this one, since I'm doing taco truck, would it be sell products?
You have to have products and services.
Both,
That's part of the requirement of the assignment. So even if you have a taco truck, you have to come up with 5 different services that you provide as a taco service. So you may have a 2-hour, you may have a type of party where you bring, tacos, like a in-home taco service, maybe a corporate side taco service. You'll have to come up with, right? So, but you got to have a service in addition to inventoriable items. So tacos are not inventoriable, by the way, unless you're buying them for resale. So you're going to have to come up with, I guess you can say that you're buying the tacos from somewhere. I can let you go with that. What's your main role at Valley Tacos? You're going to be the owner. You're the owner, absolutely. Now we can start raising the level of feeling on the ride to make it a smiley face. Yay, there you go. I feel delighted, right? Now let's go next. What's your main role at, okay, so that is, who else works at Vargas? Elias, Valley Tacos. We're all going to fly solos for now. I know that you can have employees, you can have contractors, but for now, we're going to focus on flying solo, so we don't have to activate the payroll subscription. Okay, so what other apps do you already use? So I'm going to recommend that you don't use my apps.
So choose others or no app?
And the one that I don't use, that's perfect, the way you have it. What do you want to do today? Well, let's go ahead and first set up QuickBooks right away. So the first option. Now, QuickBooks has the wonderful ability to log into your bank statements and download all the data on a continuous basis. So you can reconcile the transactions on an ongoing basis as opposed to at the end of the month. So that's important. Skip for now, right? Now, the next thing I want to do is let's track receipts and bills. You make it up. That's correct, Ricky. All right, perfect. So let's go to track receipts and bills. How do you track your receipts today? Okay, so then let's have some digitally as well. And so it's going to ask you, hey, there's an app that we're going to give you. You can take a picture of your receipts and it automatically gets imported into your QuickBooks. So that's great if you're a business owner and you just bought something, you just take a picture and then that's it, right? Then you have it in your records. Go ahead. Digital, right? Pardon? Digital? That would be the option, digital? Yeah, digital would be the option, yes. So that app, right? What you're going to do in class in this assignment is you're actually going to upload a bunch of stuff. there's about 27 documents, 27 source documents that you'll use to enter stuff into the system. One of them is a big list. The other ones are actual checks, invoices, bills, etc., etc. So go ahead and download that if you can, please, at this point. That's an app, a mobile app. So again, this gives you the ability to take a snapshot. Are you following the video after the class? Is that what's going on? Yeah, are you able to follow it? Yes. What has you delighted, Elias?
What was that again, Professor?
What has you delighted?
What else do we have?
So let's go ahead and tell QuickBooks why you're so delighted.
Oh, delighted. I got it.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just that my mask is not helping with my lack of enunciation plus an accent, which makes it very hard for everybody. Yeah, that's wonderful. All right. All right. So everybody's got it. Let's press next. Thank you, Elias.
Welcome.
Extra credit. So what else do you want to set up? Now, you could accept payments on QuickBooks Online directly from your invoices, right? So you can send somebody an invoice and tell them to make a payment via a credit card or a debit card, etc. But we're not going to do that for this assignment. Once again, we don't have a real account to connect it to. And there's a fee associated with that, right? We do want to invoice customers. We do want to enter and pay bills. We're not going to track time, even though you kind of should, but that's not part of this particular assignment. We're not paying employees, but we are going to manage inventory. Right? If you have inventoriable items, you got to be able to manage them, right? Add sales. We don't have any discounts, so it's not necessary. That's what it means, right? Sales, not sales of stuff, but sales, like 10% off and stuff. Okay. Protect my business with insurance, that's a no. We do want to manage our sales tax. Can we go over back one more time and review it? So you have 1, 2, let's go down, 3, manage inventory, and 4, manage sales tax. Let's go next. All right, so we're almost done. We're going to dive in very quickly, and then I'm going to jump in. I just jump in as well. All right, let's go. Now you have a dashboard and yada, yada, yada. So here's the dashboard. I think at this point I can take over, Elias. If you don't mind going over to your, well, let me actually take over if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate this very, very much.
You're welcome.
Because once you set it up once, it's gone, right? You don't get to see it one more time. So it's going to take me a second to sign in. Any questions? Anybody got stuck at this point? Apparently I have to activate. I never used this. So 855-624. Make sure you provide a good phone number for you because it's going to ask you, it's going to send you text codes to apply, etc. all the time. So just have something that's real. Once you log in again, it's going to ask you, hey, oh, you mean the account? When you registered the account before this step, when you activated that license from your email into QuickBooks, it asks you for your first name, last name, phone number, and email address, right? Okay, let me go ahead and now go to my zoom. Well, for their business, then that person would only have to say, share with my accountant. And that would be it. And I would have access to that. I don't have that in front of me. So there's gonna be something that says my accountant. There you go, my accountant. So with my accountant, the very first thing you want to do is make sure you add somebody here as my accountant. And that should be my para at mail.fresnostate.edu account. So I think I would do that now. You don't have that option? My accountant yet? Okay, no problem. It's under the left side. It should be its own thing. It should say my account.
Yeah, I don't have that either.
Same.
So we'll figure out why it's not showing. We'll stop for a second. Let me show you what we have in terms of the order. Right? First, this is a client side that's going to help. Not going to help very much. Hold on a second. Again, this is all fictitious data, so I'm showing it to you as such. So this is ER Apparel's books, right? Notice that the dashboard is going to have some of the business process flows that occur in the revenue cycle and on the procurement cycle. So what happens first? Well, money comes in but first you got to add products and services into the system, right? Once you add them up, then you can also manage the customers, and you're going to do just that. You're going to enter all the customers. And then from there, you're going to create, not estimates, but you're going to create some invoices, and then you're going to receive payments. Sometimes you're going to not create invoices, you're going to create receipts. Some people are going to walk into your store and say, I want some tacos, right? Or I want this today, and you don't have a credit line for them. The next thing you want to do is, of course, set up your vendors, and then you're going to have the ability to pay bills like that. Again, not everything here is complete. This is coming from a very limited view. If you were to use the QuickBooks desktop version, or you're familiar with that, they have everything broken down by cycle, right? The business cycle, the revenue cycle, the procurement cycle, even the payroll stuff has a step by step, and you know how to get it done. This is a little more work in progress, right? So let me give you the menus first. The menus on this you have the actual, what do you have? What is it called on your end? Is that a business overview? Or let's just say QuickBooks. It's just QuickBooks, right? So on the left, you're going to have everything by cycles, pretty much. So you have your overview, your month-end review, where you have transactions and where you have reconciliation stuff. Then you're going to have Banking, anything related to banking. Money that you've deposited, sales that you've created, transactions, receipts, anything related to your apps that you connected in the past, which we're not going to have. But let's say that you were working with Square app to make payments, or Amazon businesses you're selling on Amazon, right? All of that would be. Then you have sales, so all the transactions and events, all the events associated with your revenue cycle would technically be. So you have sales from those. Some of those are going to be in invoices. You're going to have to get some payments. You're going to have to administer your customers, your products and services, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have cash flow, expenses, projects, payroll, time. You can track your time. You know, you're going to be doing this a lot as accountants. You're going to be tracking your time all the time, all the time. And I was going to add an element to Toggle here. They have their own timesheet, but it's not free. So because it's not free, I really couldn't extend it for a long time. Payroll, time, reports, taxes, mileage, etc. Now, if you look at this plus sign, it says new. Now, that's a little easier to follow, right? Because these are really associated by entity type, by agent type, I should say. So instead of being associated by cycles, like revenue versus sales, this is more associated by the entities that are interacting with your business. In this case, you're going to have customers, and you're going to have invoices, payments, estimates, credit memos, receipts, refunds. So that's a little more exhaustive, right? Like that's a little more complete of a list than going and trying to chase it on the line. So I really like that plus button, and it's gotten better and better as we move because it's more complete. Vendors. Very easy to go from vendors and say, I'm interacting with who? With a vendor? How? Well, I'm making an expense. I am receiving a bill from them. I'm paying them a check. I'm paying a bill that they've already received, and I'm just going to pay it. I'm going to create a purchase order to authorize my procurement, right? And then later on, I'm going to turn that into an order, and then I will get a bill, and then from there, then I'll issue a payment, right? If you are a big enough business. And then you also have stuff like, well, I need to have a credit card credit. So somebody says, let me give you a refund. So that means a credit on your credit card, right? Or you may have a vendor credit. Okay, let me give you a little card that you'll have the next time you come in, right? And finish it. Same thing with that. You know, you can give customers a delayed charge, a delayed credit, or you can refund stuff to them. Employees need to get paid, so you always track their time and activity first, provided that you have profiles for each and every one of them regarding their wages or salaries, if that's the case. And you want to make sure you have timesheets. You got to document the timesheets. Absolutely. Payroll 101, timesheets, reporting activity. And then you can choose QuickBooks Online services to do this for you, calculating all the withholdings based on their location, right? So there's employees that may have to pay more taxes because they live in a municipality that has additional income tax in, right? And that is the case in California, right? We may have income tax for different kinds of areas. Or you can do it yourself, where you know the tables and you know what goes to excuse me. You know what goes to Social Security, Medicaid, et cetera, Medicare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's done. On the other side, you have other transactions such as journal entries. Again, plus other journal entries, transfers, bank deposits, statements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right? So that's the lay of the land of QuickBooks. Have you ever seen any other type of accounting information system in the past? Have you worked with any type of anybody? No? So this is the first time you actually see it's going to look a lot nicer on your end. Let me go to the dashboard. The dashboard's going to have, well, this is your profit and loss. This is your expenses. These are your invoices. So it's pretty simple. Here you have the ability to look at questions from experts. Here you can actually search for stuff. So you can search from invoices to customers. And so I can actually search for specific transactions all across QuickBooks. If somebody comes in and says, hey, hi, I'm John Smith, and I came a couple of months ago with John Smith. We can look at all the invoices that we made and the deliveries and where we're at, the status, etc., refunds, everything will show up, right? Is that a question? I'm going to need to do this before I choke. Okay. So, how about notifications? Anything that you need to know? This is more about your actual Intuit account, your QuickBooks account. It should be free for now. All right. And here comes the gear. You asked before, what if I made a mistake and I didn't activate products and services? I didn't say manage the inventory. Well, this is how you would fix it. Again, you have lists of entities that need to be set up. Products and services have to be set up. Recurring transactions don't need to be set up. But this is where you find them. Attachments, custom fields, tags, etc. Tools like importing data, importing desktop data, exporting that stuff, reconciling your banks, budgeting, creating the audit log. Important for your exam, right? Journal entries are on the plus journal entry. Audit logs are going to be, they're also going to be in your reports. Okay, creating a new chart of account. You can either come here and go to your company chart of accounts. This is where you create a new account, such as, I'm going to track all of my drinking expenses. Not that I do any. I should say the Diet Coke, to be more specific. Diet Coke drinking expense, right? There's no such thing, so then I create a new one. So then we do a new one, and it's going to ask you what kind, right? Well, that is an expense account, not an income. It's an expense. What kind of expense? Well, that is entertainment meals, right? And I'm going to call it specific because I may want to track all the Diet Coke I'm drinking because I feel that that's important for my business. Not because the government's asking me to do that. The government's it's going to ask me to categorize all the meals and entertainment into one category, but only 50% of that can be deducted from your taxable income. But I may want to make sure that I track this as a sub-account of just meals and entertainment. So meals and entertainment expenses. And that's it. You're going to do a lot of account creation in this exercise. Okay, what else is important out of this? I could have done my chart of accounts also from the left, from the right. So let's go back to this gear and look at my account and segment. I think what's important to recognize is here you want to make sure that the SSN is whatever SSN you were asked to put in there. I believe you have a specific instruction on that. This company type should not be a corporation. We're going to make sure that this is a sole proprietor. Right? We also know that this company email, you're going to use your own email. Notice that there's an actual logo in there. You're going to have to plug it in there. So you come up with your own logo. That's the only creative work that I'm asking for this assignment, right? Your industry is going to be the same. It's already, if you need to change it, that's where you would change it. Why is it important to have the right industry? Well, the right industry tells you what kind of accounts you would typically use, right? So if you're selling tacos, you know that you got to activate certain accounts as opposed to selling software. So then QuickBooks theoretically creates the chart of accounts for you. It is a horrible setup. And it's like offensive, right? If you are an accountant, because this is not really good at it. I think it shows that an information systems person who had nothing to do with accounting kind of created some of the defaults. For example, depreciation. There's no difference between the depreciation expense and the accumulated depreciation account. It's called depreciation for both. So you have to figure out if that is a sub account of your asset or if it's an actual expense. So you gotta figure that out. So my recommendation is to always go in and change the depreciation expense to depreciation expense during an event, right? So you know this is the actual expense account and get all sorts of, and you should do it for your assignment as well. Depreciation expense. Here, let me show you. Well, we'll go back to that. All right, so this is the address, has to be your university address, the same as the property address, and that's it. So this is pretty simple, right? Again, this is a Form 1040 that we're going to be creating at the end. Your billing and subscription has to do with the billing that you're getting. And it's free, but you should be getting at least QuickBooks Online Plus. If you don't have Plus, if you just have the basic thing, we have a problem, right? So make sure that you're using the free version of QuickBooks Plus. If you're using a trial version, then you're exposing yourself to not having access for the final exam, right? All right. Usage. You have a limit of 250 accounts to use in QuickBooks. No big deal. We're not going to use them all. But I think this is where the most important type of settings come in, right? Number one, I'm going to go very slowly on this. Preferred invoice terms are always going to be due upon receipt unless you set it as a customer preference, right? The preferred delivery method is going to be none. Shipping will be off. But we do have some delivery. So let's turn it on. Now you can set up your shipping as a service, or you can just activate it as shipping and then it will come out as a separate line. I'll show you what that means. Do we need custom transaction numbers? That means it lets you change your transaction number. The answer is yes. In the data, right? We have transaction numbers for specific invoices and stuff that I gave you. Service dates, we really don't need that. We don't need service dates. Discount, we will use discounts. Deposits, yes, we will have a deposit, a couple of deposits. Do we need tips, gratuity that comes from people? The answer is no. So let me stop for a second. After I use tax, I'm going to use tax as well. Any questions? Anybody on Zoom that has questions? How about anybody here? Everybody cut out? Okay, I'd like to make sure that, well, we're gonna go into in a minute. Products and services. Show products and service columns on sales form. The answer is yes. By the way, you got to save it every sub-step of the way. So for products and services, you do want to show the product and service. We don't need the SKU. We don't need to turn on price rules. The price is the same for everybody. We do want to track quantity and price rate. Absolutely right. And we want to track inventory on hand at all times. So check, 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 not check. Right? Let me save this. Default charges apply to overdue invoices. Appears as a line under product service on the invoice and applies to all. So default charge apply to overdue invoices. This would be, let's say, when you have a late, right? And so we're not going to have that. Create multiple partial invoices from a single estimate. You could. I don't think I have a specific case of that. So either way is fine. That means that if you create an invoice and they say, well, give me part of that today, and then part of that we'll order it next week. So from the same estimate that you gave your client, you allow the client to grab it and use it partially without having to recreate an additional estimate, right? Default email messages for invoice reminders. This is where you would come in and say, automatic reminders. This is beautiful. Now you have some robotics, right? On day 3, before the due date, it's like, don't forget, the due date is this day, right? Coming up. Thank you so much for using our service, right? Right now I have it off. You're not going to need it for the exercise, but I think it's important that you know how to set them up. Right, so 3 days before the due date, you tell somebody, hi, thank you for using our services. Wanted to check in, let you know that your payment is due in a couple of days. We'll be happy to hear how you're doing as well. Give us a call, right? If there's any issue. On the due date. Pay up. Gotta get my money. What's the song from Drake? The Drake? Is it Drake? Rihanna, right? I'm sorry. What? And then 2 days after due, I think you might want to say, okay, yeah, you know what? Your date is past due. If there's anything that can help you bring it back, bring your account back to speed, let us know. Every communication is an effort to collect, blah, blah, blah. Disclaimers, right? All right. So this is stuff that's new. They're adding it together, right? So it's automatic. You don't have to worry about who hasn't paid us. And then you can probably do, like, instead of 3 days, maybe a week. Or maybe you need the money right away. Right? What else? Do we need this for the assignment? We don't. But it's important that you know what's up. Online delivery, email options for all sales forms for somebody to email. Yes. You don't need this, but because we're not doing any online delivery. Statements, list each transaction as a single line. List each transaction going on detail line. So is it when you provide a statement, do you want to show them the line items or the invoice? Right, that's the difference. Right, you want to say this invoice is unpaid, or you want to say the invoice containing A, B, C, D, and E. So it's up. I don't think they ask you to provide statements, but this is how you would do it, right? I would probably want to do it. Like, you bought this because they're like, what did I buy on this one? I hate when you're like, there's only 3 invoices. You might give them all of them. Right? That's it on this side, right? On the customer side, on the sell side. On the expense side, there's only a few things we need to make sure we know. Number 1, we want to show items table on the expense and purchase forms. Why? Because we're buying inventory items. And as we buy the inventory items, we want to make sure that we have the details of those purchases. So, like in the taco place, I know it sounds weird, but you're going to buy tacos to resell them. And yeah, so, right? You're going to have soda cans to resell them as well. So, you need to let me know, right? When you buy those tacos, because if you plug in tacos in that spreadsheet, I'm going to ask you to buy like 1,000 tacos at one point or 100 tacos for resale, right? And that has to be in there. Item statement. Show pack, feel, and expenses on purchase forms. If I want to tag something for, we don't need it for this assignment, but you may need to do it in the future, right? Let me tag all these transactions with, I need to get reimbursed for that, like reimburse it. So that I know that once I get reimbursed, I reverse it, etc. That's it. You can always track expenses and items by customer. So if you have clients, you guys are going to be accountants and you want to get reimbursed for expenses like copies and, software that you bought on their behalf, etc. Then you can just track it here. When you make the expense, then it brings you a customer field so you can type in what that customer name should go, and then it automatically creates a bill if you wanted to. So if I do this, then I can automatically invoice the people for the purchases we made. And we have the option of saying plus 50% on top of that. The administrator fee 20% on top of that. You can also do expenses and items billable. Again, you can do a markup, like I mentioned, 50%, 10%, 20%, and then you can track billable expenses and items as income in a single account, right? To make sure that you're keeping track of those expenses separately than your revenue from products and services. And or you can have this into multiple accounts again. It lets you have the ability to have multiple different accounts when you track that, right? You may want to have these are software related versus copies and all that. And then if you are reselling something, then you should be collecting sales tax, right? If it's a pass-through with no margin, then you don't collect it. You just charge it. If you're paying to resell it, then you got to go tell that person that's selling it to you to not charge you sales tax, and then you charge the sales tax instead, right? And that's not going to be on your assignment. I think it's important that you know that. We do have, I believe, purchase orders. I don't remember. So if you do have purchase orders, which I don't think you do, then you would say yes, right? That's it. And payments, that is to get paid. Again, we're not activating that in the advanced section. Just make sure that I would like your accounting method to be cash for now. I think it makes it simple. And I created the assignment in such a way that it shouldn't make a difference. The only thing that may make a difference is the sales tax that is due to the government agency based on whether you actually collected the money. Meaning, so the only sale I have is $1 million, and I made it today. And the rules for and I'm gonna collect that money from my customer in about 3 months. Those are my terms. The government can say you pay sales tax on that, right? Because you're on an accrual basis. When we recognize that, when we ship it, we're extending them credit. So the government says that's your thing. Right? You extended the credit, so now pay us, right? Does that make sense? And what if they don't pay you? Well, then you have to make an adjustment when the appropriate time comes. But in the meantime, you still got to pay the bill, right? Next month or next week, depending on the state. Some states say every year. It depends on your volume as well. Again, making it cash may be a little simpler. And I think I created just one example that's going to be iffy in terms of when it's due. Right? But that should be okay. I'll supervise that. That's it, guys. That's on the chart. Okay. So, any questions on the Zoomers? Or from the Zoomers, I should say. So I'm going to press done at the bottom. Okay. Now let's go back to the assignment itself. The assignment is going to ask you to let me open it again here. So the assignment is going to ask you. Once you do this, it's going to ask you to, first you set up all the information, and then the loan amortization sheet. And then the transaction sheet, it's going to ask you to review the contents of this. So let's go ahead and do it. Go back to our QuickBooks QuiuBO. It's actually called FBA. I think it's called it, right? So the FBA has all my information. Oh, I have a lot. So let me just quickly say S1 dollar, S2 2. I mean, I'm going to say no. I think this is probably not the best to show. So let's just make sure what business is this called. Okay, so we're going to have cakes, bakery, 8%. Yours might be a little bit. Let's go ahead and choose a number. Just make the copy the thing. I thought I created once that I delete it. What is yours called? It's a family business accountant. Your spreadsheet. Okay, QuickBooks. QuickBooks. And it's actually okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, I knew that I had completed most of this. I'm gonna just copy this 123 Main Street. You shouldn't do it, but you should have real addresses on your end. But I'm just gonna copy this over here. Fictitious addresses, but different, right? Woo. All right, I'm just gonna have it. Now I'm gonna have yeah. Okay. Okay, that's great. Let me make sure that okay. I just to make sure that they're all separate. Okay, I think everything else is good. So then let's take a look at your transaction. Am I still showing my screen? Now, this is a list of about 45 transactions that were created automatically, individualized for each and every one, based on your vendors, based on the right? Huge, right? So everybody has a different assignment. And you can change the numbers and then roll it back because you got to redo all of them, right? That's it. So the first thing you should do is make sure that you print this. And how do I print this? I go to my print menu. I don't want to print the current sheet. I want to print the workbook with over 27. I think it has 27 pages. If I'm not mistaken. It will take a second to print everyone. So there's a jump for every one of those transactions. And now I'm getting some questions. Many options are completely different. Yes. So some of your options are different because I have the accountant version of QuickBooks versus yours. So If anybody wants to record themselves as they set up those QuickBooks, that'll be awesome. And send it to me so I can add. Okay, so there's 30 pages. 30 pages right there. That can be printed. So I'm just going to PDF them. Thanks. I put the PDF. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to save it, right? And you can print them at home. I do recommend that you print them because you're going to be going through them, right? So it's easier to do that. Oh, you only do it after everything's printed, even your loan and usage. So let me make sure that these are the QuickBooks. QuickBooks. Okay, right. So here I can just grab this Fernando Parra. I'm going to call this what's my business again? Fernando Parra cakes. And so if I'm selling cakes, I can actually use I guess. Open file. You can start. Okay, now it opens. So from here, by the way, I can split it up into multiple files. And then we do that is organize pages. And you all have QuickBooks Pro, like Adobe Acrobat. Adobe Acrobat Pro. Huh? So it's a subscription you get for $35 a year. I probably recommend it again. It's got a bunch of stuff. But if you don't use the rest of the products, then you don't find out to pay for it, right? So one thing you can do is just pay one at a time, if that's what you want. Right? If you have this, then you can just simply split into one page, and that's it. I mean, split them all up. So I can't create 30 files. I'm still gonna use the first and the second page is one, and this is one, and this 5 and 6. So it kind of does it really quickly for you. And the beauty is that you can always come back, use the view navigation pane, preview pane. And once you do this, then you can see that is, what kind of invoice that is, etc. So let's say that I'm on number 7. That should be the beginning. So by the way, I am including in this spreadsheet your income statement and your balance. So that's super important, right? Why? Why am I doing that? I want to make sure that you know what your income statement should look like at the very end of this time. Nice and simple, right? Here's a typical invoice. One of the invoices would be invoice to a Blink. Let's spell Lincoln. Lincoln, right? Like one soon. Sun Street, software ABC plus shipping, right? Total of 500. So all of you have invoices. So the next thing that I want you to do next is to actually go in and figure out how to enter this. Very simple. You just do a plus on the software. And we could take it. So what I would do is, I think that I'll allow you guys to post the how-to for each one. I would not go chasing down the different menus, right? But instead, I would go down the transactions. So here's exactly what I mean. I would start by saying, what am I going to work on first? Well, let me work on, maybe I just want to work first on all the, this is so good. Okay. So let me clear everything. Let me work on, again, clear. I could work on all the revenue stuff. So these are pledges. That's what they call them. Pledges are invoices, right? Receive payments. So let me work on all the pledges first. So then I have my pledges right here. There's only 3 of them. And let me go to the first one. I can click on that link, see the stuff, print it out, go PDF. And once I finish up that particular transaction, I go back. Go to the next. And the assignment is organized in transactions back. So after you review all of the QuickBooks Online and the settings here and all that stuff, then it's first going to ask you to set up your sales and sales tax for the numbers, right? That you have to do on your own because I don't have access. I've already set up. But all you got to do is click on the sales tax. If anybody wants to show their screen here internally, that would be great. And I'll let you guys work on Teams right now to get this done. And I think you could probably advance a big chunk. So you set up sales tax, set up your products, next, right? Set up your vendors, set up your services, and it shows you step by step. And put the name and share bottom. So pretty simple, detailed. I don't think you need an actual video from this for this, but you guys can create videos if you want and post them in the same assignment as them. So you can do this and then just put a comment here and say, hey, and then just type it. So once I see that you've done, like, I'll give you extra credit as well. Because I have to produce them in an anonymous fashion for myself. So there's a PDF for exactly important or the website PDFs. The PDFs. So why are we going to use them? When you create an actual invoice, like on step 8, this is all set up. Credit card, documenting a purchase for a point of sale and your depreciation. But you can't go through a lot of setups, and then you're going to remember set up accounts based on your balance of your asset value as of the beginning of this year. And then you're going to do a bunch of, transaction journal entries, this one, to depreciate at the end of this year as well. And you also have a loan attached to that. So you bring the balance forward of that loan as of the beginning of this year. And then you'll actually have to do the transactions again for the loan on a monthly basis, right? And so create a single journal entry date June 30 of the current year and record the loan payments from January to September. Oh, this should be, I didn't intend that to be June 30th. Right? So then you record the rest of the month, like the 122, 32, etc. So here's where you start recording the procurement transaction. That's when you're going to start having to scan and attach the videos. So you only need it for these invoices. When you buy stuff, when you sell stuff. So setting up the vendor doesn't need an actual backup, but making an invoice and a payment will need an actual file to back up. So I need to get used to that backups. You can actually take a picture with your phone on the computer as well. That'll be enough. When you set it up that way, it recognizes automatically the stuff, and it actually does the entry for you to an extent. And then you got to match it. So we can explain what that means today. So you can match it or go into it and then modify the stuff that you want. Yes? Paying bills. So there's only a few transactions, like 5 and 5. Only about 40. Outside of setting up the vendors and all that, there's only about 40 transactions. It's not a big deal. It's like writing a check, that's one transaction. If you ever written a check, making a payment, that's one transaction. Selling an actual invoice for 2 types of products or 3. Like that invoice is not going to be a big deal. Then making a deposit and then you collect. That's one transaction. The one thing that I would caution you about would be the setup of your chart of accounts when necessary, and I'll be very specific to that in this text. And then when you're looking at statement of accounts, specifically, like this is your annual account statement for your bank. This is stuff that you owe. I haven't finished this property, right? This is, you should have $100,000 at the beginning. This may need to be corrected, guys. So this is your actual annual account statement for a bank for checking account number 123456. So this may have a small error because this is your actual balance as of January, right? It's getting right here. So you know that's going to be your balance, and then you're going to add stuff in.
We have to have that one on this slide.
Yeah, so that I can tell you how to correct. I mean, the balance forward is a 2,104. I don't know why the 4,000 is showing up. We'll check on that. So that is the only thing that you would have to check here is this. Are there any fees associated with that transaction? So be careful with transactions that are coming from merchant accounts or credit card accounts. This, you don't have any fees. Let me go check real quick. And instead, you have interest that is paid. Right here. You don't have any interest rate. And this is actually on. Okay, I'll check this next. I have a cooperative. So they could have gone in. Anyway, so no interest paid, no fees, but on the credit card there should be because I created this. So the statement from your credit card. As you go along, you're gonna see the interest expense. And here you don't have any. On the second one, you have one. So that's not going to be in a separate document, right? You got to, once you come here, you'll see that there's interest expense. And then there's also a payment. So this is the bill. You can see that you made a payment for the month before. So looking at your, at your actual credit card statement, you'll see what activity happened in terms of when it was paid. But you'll have to get that information from these documents. There's not an actual transaction that's necessary that says there's interest on this. Right? You got to base it on all these documents. That's it. And then there's like 2 checks that you pay for a rent. I think they're all pretty much the same for everybody. And that's it. Okay, let me pause the recording. Any questions, guys? It doesn't have it on the spreadsheet? Okay, so then let's make sure that we document it on the document here. Just use your student ID. But it's not in here though. So okay, student ID, your first and last name. Okay, from the business information sheet, student ID. But we didn't say that when we set up the company. Use your student ID as the tax ID for the company, right? So that's something new. And so what I will do is I'll highlight it. So as you have questions like this, make sure we plug it in so I can see how to correct it. That's going to be on QuickBooks.
I'll do my
Yeah.
last payment. I just had like 20% left.
Sure. Well, it's on. What year are you on? Let's make sure that we do the round. Let's make sure you do a round on your amortization table. Round it. Round it to the second decimal. Forgot to mention that, right? Because if you're using Google Sheets, being very exact. Let me see your formula for the payment. Yeah, where's the payment amount?
The last one.
No, the second. I mean, that's like the column receipt. Oh, you just typed it in? Yeah. Okay. So what about C? That's fine. That's E. Make sure we use that as a round. Round that up. Round it not outward down. Just round. So grab the formula would be like grab all that from the address. No. Oh, grab the entire formula from the C. From the B. Grab the entire formula. Control X. And let's do equal to. And go around. Open parentheses. Yes, so you have some. Make sure you're rounding. Like when I forgot to mention that on the. Make sure you're rounding. The formula. Get rid of that extra equal sign you gotta have inside. Yeah. Round. That. So now you actually can have sense. Right? And the next one do the same thing and copy paste that. I got negative. What have you done on the principal? Yes, you have. So you don't need principal as an expense. Right? Then you do the same thing for Yeah, well, yes. In fact, it won't matter because at the end of the day, you're only paying 2 years of payments out of the 5. So we wanted to get to that. But what I was suggesting you for future use, right, is to make sure you use the rounding so that if you're only being able to collect cents, you don't have hidden decimals that are carrying over from 1 to 5. So on the second column, the C, let me see how I calculated that C. Yes. Okay, that's great. So let's do an interest expense. Rounded. Did we grab all that? Let's grab all the formula within that cell. Go ahead, go. Copy or exit. Go ahead. Okay, now around the formula around it. And that you're going to put the values or whatever you have in the formula, and that goes to the value. Go B. Right, and then comma. So you're going to be using a lot of rounding. I don't think I gave you that. Well, I don't know if that's going to be the same one. The first line is definitely the second line. Second line. We'll do the same thing for the second line. You can do it through the round line. Just plug it in. Round. Open the parentheses. And then the bottom line. Now you can look and wrap down. It's not. So always use control copy, push it down. It was a 0. Well, yeah. So now go out and do the same thing with the column. I'm sorry, column. I will start with the same. When they run around, that's right. Copy, Control C, Control C. I will back up. Press Control C, Control Shift, and then down D, and then Control G. So they can be put some payment on. That's what actually happens in the banking industry, right? The last given is speaking just a little bit. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's my shoes. So here's what happened, right? The first line and the second line are the same. So the first line is just press enter. Just press enter. Where's that coming? Okay. What about the last? What about the interest expense? Where's it coming?
That's
Right. So the F3. Now let's look at the second one. Where's it coming from?
that line.
Okay,
I don't have to start.
okay, that's fine.
Right.
That's the only thing you want to know. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the right formula. Control C. Control Shift. Down. Control V. That's it. Right? You could have said, how you select now, right click and paste. Or go to the menu file, edit, and edit paste, but it's Control C, be in between where you copy. Same thing with the last one.
Now it's like row 6.
Yeah, yes, because the first one is using different reference, right? The rental.
Do I have to do individual for easy?
No, that's from period number 2, and that line is the same problem. But you do have to do it in. What do you mean individual?
Around
Yeah, so you just copy and paste from.
basically just
No, you just copy and paste from the last one now the second. The formula changes there, so you gotta do it for that. Why does it? No. Yeah. No. You don't have to. But it's okay. Decimals, right? You're rounding up to decimals. Close the parentheses. No, the second. You should go on the first one and the second. And then only use the second one to copy. As it goes in there. Does it look like an overwhelming project? It's like you guys know how to push back. But we'll see how it works. We gotta get going, guys. We gotta get going. QuickBooks is easy, right? It's okay, no worries. No worries. As long okay, so you still have to round your. Let's go ahead and round your. The column number F. Right? Column number F should be rounded as well. We're gonna be off maybe 1 or 2 cents, maybe even 5 cents. Right?
Professor, are you sharing something? We shall only see your doc.
Can we see our doc?
Are you working on the Excel?
So the question that was being asked, if I may.
Oh.
The question that was being asked was the following, right? And I don't want you to pay too much attention because it's not really that relevant. But I do. You should be able to use. You wrap the formula, right? So this is my formula, and I want to round the result to 2 decimal places. Then we just get in between the equal and the beginning of the formula. Open the formula, right? And we just say what that's the value I want to round, and then I want to do 2 decimal places. And then that's it. And then now I can do Control-C, Control-Shift down, Control-V as in vector. So I can go up. So I can do the same thing with this, right? I can round, open parentheses, right? Closer is the 2 decimals. Control-Copy, Control-Shift down, Control-V as in vector, we're done. Now notice that I have 13 cents left. And technically what banks do is the following. They say this one is 113 cents. Did I have 13 cents? Oh, I'm paid. So now I gotta pay 13 cents. So they're just allowed, right? That's technically what happens. For this assignment, you're not going all the way to the end. You're only paying here now 1 and 2. So you'll be a couple of cents off the median. Sure. On the side, that's where you're gonna find them. So where would I find them? Oh, you gotta set up the products. So follow the assignment, like on the like the written assignment. Just go back to the actual instruction. I already like entered each invoice. Yeah, you're not gonna have the extra product property. Okay. Yeah. But you've already set up an actual balance. Yeah. So it's a cell. So but you gotta have specific product. Okay. But the concern I had is literally with tax. So they gave me the actual factors. So then bring that back to, that's what I was going to ask. Should I bring that back? Bring that back. Okay, that's a very good question. Okay. So guys, one thing to remember, so anything back, right? Yeah, anything back. It looks. So can I grab your attention, guys, real quick? This is super, super important. It looks like the rate for Fresno State is 7.975. So you guys have to bring it back to the business information. 7.975. Otherwise, it's going to be an issue with your invoices. 975. Let me make sure I increase this. So when you create a taxable invoice, it shouldn't be 8%, it should be 7.975. And so I think that we should put this on the instructions as well. Gotta be on the spreadsheet. 9.75%. So that it wasn't. I go back. Yes, and you should, like, yes, it should automatically know how much. Yeah. Section B of the business information. That's too red. Maybe that's red. So it can actually read, right? So I will have a session at 12 o'clock on Friday to answer your question. Not to go step by step, but to answer some of your questions.
Are you going to record it again?
Yes, I will record the session and release it. Yeah.
You said that we have to put our release. We have to go back.
Yeah, not the interest expense. Oh yeah, that needs to be corrected. Yeah, you did not make any interest from that. I don't understand how it got there. Let me make sure that I see that on the recording. Let me correct it. Or is it possible that you guys sorted it and I didn't protect it from? Yeah, okay. So then I sorted it, right? And then so guys, as I mentioned before, the statement for the checking account seems to be off. First of all, the balance forward is not 4,162 for sure. And my concern here is that I don't know where to grab this information.
My balance forward is correct.
200 something thousand?
Yes. First time.
Yeah, so you all have this amount? Like some kind of 4,000? I think I messed it up as I was navigating. Or do you have like a 200,000?
Yeah, I'm sure $5.
That's what it should be, 200,000 and some. Looks like I might have, yeah, the only thing that's off is the interest paid. That is SC, the very like the fourth spreadsheet.
August draws is like $30.
Yeah, we're gonna have different numbers because your pricing for products that you pay are different than mine. So then that's gonna change everything. So deposits, interest paid, withdrawals, and then the new balance. So let me see where this is grabbing G29. I see what's going on. I had an actual. You also have this as well, like electronic payment, check.
Stop that.
I guess I made a copy of an earlier version. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one. Guys. Let me go back to your actual set. Okay. How is this? Okay, SC is not the fourth. Yeah. Okay, now we're looking at this. Okay, so I was remember I opened up another one. Okay, but it still says there's no interest rate. Does yours have interest rate? Yeah, I cannot believe I released it. So it's all good. It's all good.
We don't have to alter it.
You don't have to alter it. Okay. So this is your bank statement for the whole year. I'm going to need you to have to print both, right? The credit card statements are monthly. So you're going to see them as S1, S2, S3, right? So then these are a little more specific. Credit card statement, you bought something from Intuit, from HP, and that vendor is going to change for you. Takes a lot of coordination, guys. A lot of coordination. So please let me know if there's something that doesn't jive so that I can make sure I correct it.
So you're going to publish this.
Yes.
That's cool.
There's actually something already that they sell for students for like $80. And that's exactly the same, right? So again, it's a contribution that I'm making to that. Like, I don't think they should be charging $60, $80. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe you can all give presents. So no, I think this you should really just get something like this. Google Sheets makes it happen really easily. I think you can track the stuff. And at the end of the day, you don't, again, this stuff, you gotta think of you guys. Like there's already enough fees. There's a lot of fees, and it's easy for everybody to say, oh, this have this. Like I just had a meeting with somebody that's backpack. I'm going to use backpack before. It's cool. That lets you make a discussion. So you ask a question out of the class, and then everybody has to answer. And it's part of the participation, and that's great. But it's $30 per student. But it's another $30 there. And they're like, oh, it's just $30. And I'm like, yeah, it's $30 plus the book, which is $100, you know? It used to be $300. Oh, great, now it's $100. But they can only get access to it for so long, right? And so, yeah. So I don't know if it's really cheaper for you guys. You get a brand new digital book. But the vendors, they're getting a reliable $100. They don't have to worry about anybody else because they're actually verifying that every single one of you is paying. Does that make sense? As opposed to you saying, oh, let me borrow your version, right? And again, we have connect. So in the future, hopefully, once I finish my research requirements, and bring all this stuff together, you saw the book doesn't give you a whole lot of meat, right? And so I can come up with very simple, quickly to the point explanations of the cycles, explanation of this, and let's make it more applied. So I'll come up with my own book that you guys want to. Sorry that I didn't make part of this stuff. It's the state experience, and it's not easy doing a book. You see, like even just like what about this rounding, right? Or what about the links? So all these are interrelated. But when you change something here, you can change something somewhere else. And then this is unique. You come up with your own ideas, and it's supposed to work, right? Most of the other stuff that you see in books is one assignment that everybody can just copy and paste and print. So where's the learning? Right? So we gotta track your own. What's the word? Your individualistic contributions to protect the academic integrity, because you don't want everybody that's succeeding to degree to necessarily be equal, right? Like if you know there's got to be some discriminant validity in the degree. Can't just be anybody walking here and saying, "Oh, give me all the assignments and copy whatever's online. I already know the answer." Then it's just posting, but nobody can check. If that were the case, then anybody could get paid, and you would not get paid enough, right? But if you keep making it reasonably difficult to get it, but not impossible to achieve, then you protect your salary. Supply and demand. Think about that. So when you're doing a lot of work, you're like, why am I doing this? So that the guy behind you, can do it as well. Otherwise, they will get my salary. Right?
One question. I tried to do the print yet.
7:30?
29 is 7:30.
That's fine. That's great. Okay, still? Yeah, you're free to go if you want. See you at 12. You have questions. I think it should be very simple, guys. With this provided, like again, maybe what I'll do. And this is something very specific, maybe. So now I'm fine, but you shouldn't wait for me. I will have videos. I just don't think they'll be of the right quality. And you saw, like, some of that I could do on the spot. But I need to prepare them properly. And they need to be anonymous. I can't show anything that's person's case if it's going to be published, right? So then it's got to go, I got to think twice. But I need to, like, how do you do this type of thing? How do you create an invoice? And that's already on those links that I get. I do an invoice. Go in, type in the name. Remember, just set up the stuff. I think the worst stuff is going to be on. The most difficult part is going to be the set. So have not just that little computer, but plug it into your desktop. You have a screen at home? You do? You don't. So if you're at the library, do they have screens? Study room? Yeah, but do they have a screen? Yeah, and you can plug it in. So you should go to the library now.
It's always
I just come into the class.
Well, then, do you have? Yeah, I recommend that you pass stuff to an actual team. If you don't have a monitor, you already have it. The actual task, that's a PC, right around here. So I think it's compatible. Is it old or new? So we do Windows P, like I normally do right here, and see if it has wireless display on the side, and see if you can find those.
Oh, yeah.
So then just find those device that. Thank you guys. Not Chromecast, but I don't know if Chromecast is gonna work.
I'm gonna use Google Chrome with this password.
Yes, if you use Google, but not everything Google gets. So you have some spreadsheets that are almost everything is Google based. So you can use a Chromecast and like you can use that for your movies and stuff. Like if you want to play your movies from your phone. Unless you have a smart TV. If you have a smart, like I kept my own monitors from 20 years ago. And I have sound systems that I use with audio programs. And my whole house, I mean, I still have new ones, but old ones are still like, when you go to the house and bounce it. Alex, go ahead.
So when I set up my company, right, I chose to be accounting instead of owner.
It's okay. It won't be. And are we doing okay?
Yeah.
Yes? You're getting there, like it's good, not too slow, not too fast. Okay, wonderful. Appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, guys, I will disconnect. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be here on Friday. Let me see if I have any more questions.
Yes, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a way for me to delete the Intuit account and like start over? Because I had created mine yesterday, but I know like today I didn't choose like sole proprietor, and there was a couple other things. So I was wondering if there was a way for me to like start over.
Don't do that, because then they might not give you one. So my thinking is just go to the gear and change the settings that way. You don't have to worry so much about all the settings. Number one, make sure it's on a cash basis. Make sure that you're tracking products and services. So I'll release this video, if you missed that, by tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I seen that.
By the way, but if you have ever signed up to receive an actual video, you should be getting, guys, like as soon as it's processed, you get an email. If you register for this section, have you ever tried to register?
I'm not sure if I have. I know I get emails of the updates, and I took notes of what we did earlier. I was just wondering if there was an easier way for me to start over, I guess.
No, there's no reason to. In fact, I recommend that you don't, because you might get stuck without being able to use the account.
Okay.
Which then you would have to use.
Sorry, did you ask something?
I think. Okay, hold on a second.
I think it's breaking up.
Yeah, let me make sure that I go back and do something for you real quick. So Monday, we had this particular one. Let me open. So nobody has actually registered for this class on Zoom. So this is what we're gonna do. $2:00. Registration settings. Where's the email? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put this video in there. You can then, you'll get the raw video as soon as it gets processed in a couple of hours or even less. I don't like to submit this because it has a bunch of raw material, right? Like you're gonna have all the jokes and the silly weights. When I publish my videos, I like to kind of cut down some of that white space or the white noise, etc. So if you click on that, you should be able to then register.
And
Does
when
it give you a registration option or no?
sorry, where are we clicking this?
On the Zoom. On the Zoom. On the chat.
No. Oh, I found the link. Yeah.
So when you do that, then anytime you have a class, then you'll get an automatic email that says, here's a copy of the video.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Yes. I need to submit it. In fact, why don't I just do that next? I will require that you register for this meetings.
Yeah, I think I should be registered. Thank you.
It's gonna be Saturday, right?
Registration required. That's it. Now the next time you come into the class, it's going to ask you to register. And then meetings. Okay, let me go back to the other meeting. So then by automatically, you'll get, I don't know why I didn't think of that at the beginning. Yeah. Let me go to, this was a 12, right? Now let me do the 2 o'clock and edit that. Any other questions, guys, before I go? Hit me up before you go. Wake me up, I mean.
I think we're good already, Professor.
Wonderful. So then I guess I'll have to end this before I change the settings.
Sounds good.
All right, then I'll let you guys be. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Friday if you need assistance. Otherwise, again, I'm just as available as a bookable calendar appointment.
Sounds good.
All right? Or a phone call away.